This was the Carson Beck that we've been waiting to see all season. The Carson Beck we saw tonight was the Carson Beck who will be the first or second quarterback taken in the NFL draft. Carson looked polished in the pocket. He wasn't rattled at all. And we've talked a lot on the show about Carson Beck has got caught a lot of flack from everyone, from us three, every single week talking about his last few weeks. Rightfully so, he has not played well, but he has not had any help. And we saw today when Carson Beck has some help and his offensive line protects and he has time to throw the football, and then he has some receivers, Oscar Delp at tight end, that can make some plays down the field. Carson Beck is an elite quarterback when he has those pieces in place. And the reality is Carson Beck doesn't have the athleticism or the playmaking ability to make up for things when all the pieces aren't there. But when everything's there, Carson Beck is as good as they come, standing in the pocket, going through his progressions, and taking shots down the field. I thought that Georgia had a really good plan. One of my favorite parts of this game was when Georgia got the ball back after their defense got a stop when they were up 7. They took a shot first play on the play action. They hit one of the receivers down the field. We're using Oscar Delp as a decoy, and Oscar Delp had a really good game, 2 touchdowns in this one. So you getting to use the tight end in various ways was a big part of this Georgia offense that's been missing. And I thought Tennessee really had a bad plan on defense. If there's one thing we've seen, Carson Beck has struggled when there's pressure in his face, and Tennessee was not able to get pressure, didn't try to blitz very often, tried to rush 4, and the Georgia offensive line did a nice job holding up in the pocket.
Yeah, and explain that to me, too, because, like, Brenneman, I'm watching this thing and thinking, okay, you're not sending anybody, and you're still playing a little loose in coverage in the backside. Like, that didn't make any sense to me. If you're going to keep everybody back in coverage, at least be sticky. The Tennessee secondary got in this game. There were a lot of times that, frankly, they were just a little out of position, and that was enough to leave room. So I'm watching Carson Beck, who was on a heater, but everything you just said is the exact reason why Carson Beck shouldn't be one of the top quarterbacks selected in this year's NFL draft, because to your point, he needs everything to be right around him. He needs to make sure that the offensive line can keep him upright. He needs to have weapons that are doing the right things for him. Like, that's not what he's going to get in the NFL. I watched this and thought, man, this has got to absolutely enrage Georgia fans that are sitting there thinking, where has this been all season? Because you're right. If Carson Beck plays the way he played tonight throughout the run in the playoffs, Georgia can win a national championship. Would I bet my house on him being able to do that? Hell no, because this was the first great Carson Beck moment we've seen all season.
That is so true. I do think there's probably a lot of NFL fan bases out there that are like, we'll take a Carson Beck because we got a pretty solid offensive line. We got good receivers and our quarterback still stinks. So I think there's worse than you can do than Carson Beck. But I think it just goes to show when this Georgia offensive line can keep him upright, when the receivers hold on to the football. Going into this week, Georgia receivers led the country in dropped passes. Georgia. We're talking about the Georgia Bulldogs here. Like, there is zero excuse for this receiving core to not be, just on it every single week. And obviously, you're going to have your drops here and there, but leading the country in drops, like, Carson Beck's not the kind of quarterback that can dig receivers out of mistakes and drop passes like that. Like, this offense isn't going to run well that way. So that another big thing to me was just the sheer number of receivers that Carson Beck hit. I think I want to say 10 different receivers. And Fitz, we talked about this on the Tuesday podcast, how there's not that guy on Georgia's offense that scares you how Brock Bowers did. I thought it was going to be Oscar Delp this season. I thought it was going to be Oscar Delp kind of just filling in that Brock Bowers role, a guy that can kind of do everything. He can block really well, he can chip, and he can catch the passes, and he can, attract attention from defenses. We haven't seen really anything from Oscar Delp. It's been a majority of loss and lucky this season. And like Adam said, 2 touchdowns tonight from Oscar Delp. But the first touchdown of the game, it was Carson Beck, was 20-yard pass to Oscar Delp in the end zone. I felt like I could just feel this amount of stress and anxiety just like shed off of Carson Beck. Like, it was just this bugaboo that he got off of his back. How many times have we watched Carson Beck over the last few weeks where, he hits a receiver and it's a drop pass, or and it's an interception, and the camera pans to Carson Beck and he just looks so frustrated. He just looks so defeated, just like, you've got to be freaking kidding me. Saw that so many times against Florida just a couple of weeks ago. That touchdown pass to Oscar Delp just felt like okay, I'm feeling it. I'm getting my groove back, which is awfully impressive against a Tennessee defense that hasn't given up more than 20 points all season long. They gave up 17 in the first half.
Yeah, I thought the other moment that Carson Beck looked really good and where things shifted for him was, I believe it was the second quarter, he had that 14-yard scramble where he lowered his shoulder, ran the football well, and you kind of saw the Georgia sideline get excited, and he took a big hit for a first down. And since that moment, Carson Beck played really well in this game, and the offense kind of rallied around him. And I remember when I played at Penn State with Christian Hackenberg. He was a true freshman, and there was a moment in a game where he took a big hit, lowered his shoulder, and got a first down running the football, even though he wasn't a runner, and came out and dominated the rest of his freshman season. I felt the same way with Carson Beck. You got that kind of swagger after that. Like, Carson needed something to go his way to feel good about himself again, and that was it. And I mean, think about the first play of this game. Think back to, Dylan Bell dropped Arian Smith dropped the pass. First play of this game would have been a home run shot on cover 0. You got to win every single time. He had 3 steps and the guy drops a home run touchdown. So that's the kind of bad things that have been happening for Georgia. And then Carson Beck, give him credit. He's taken a lot of flack. He's got a lot of crap on the sideline, but he came to play tonight and he took a big hit running the football and bounced back after it. And then the offense looked really good from here on out.